I'm talking to Elisabeth Yunarko, who started a company called Spokle, which, Elisabeth, is essentially about you seeing a problem in Indonesia and you saw the know-how in Australia that could be applied to Indonesia. But what was the problem that you were seeing?
I realized that there are many children in Indonesia, specifically with communication disorders. So they may be children who are in the autism spectrum or have hearing loss or have language delays. Basically, they find developing spoken language difficult. And the difficulty is access to the specialists, the skilled specialists. So there's a huge shortage of experienced and skilled speech and language specialists in Indonesia. On top of that, there's also the cost. This treatment can take months and years. Most of this cost is still borne out of pocket by a lot of families, so that is a huge emotional and financial burden in terms of access and cost. So we then saw how Australia has some of the best practices in speech pathology and in speech and language specialty, speech and hearing sciences. So here is the great know-how in Australia that we can use to help a lot of families in other parts of the world, like Indonesia. And that's why we thought, well, why not try and do something about that?
And you're using technology to bridge this gap, this health gap, so to speak. How are you using technology? It sounds like a pretty tricky task.
Yeah, so we thought, what would be the ideal platform to reach as many families as we can? And seeing the uptake of digital and mobile technology, we thought, well, why not try and put that know-how into a format that families can use in their everyday life?
So Elisabeth, can you just explain, when you say Indonesian parents can access material, what does that actually mean?
So in our mobile application is a series of video-based tutorials. So what parents can do is follow the activities and the techniques that are demonstrated by our therapists through these videos. So these are designed to be very simple activities that parents can do in their everyday context. They might be sitting in the car and they can practice something for 5 minutes, or they might be at home, cooking and using that sort of situation to teach language and communication to their kids. So it should be very simple to use.
How important do you think these sorts of businesses and initiatives are for the relationship?
I think it's very important, and in fact, in our experience, for example, we have worked with and collaborated with Indonesian professionals from the very beginning. So from the start, we have engaged the Indonesian Speech Therapy Association. We work and asked input on our content from psychologists and even teachers. So we wanted to make sure that there is the right fit to the cultural context, how people use things. And I think it's important because this is something where, it's a good mission. It's helping a lot of people, and this is where Australia can add value through using our expertise. So why not? I think it's great.
And you have an Indonesian background, but had lived in Australia. What's it like doing business in Indonesia? That's always a bit of a challenge.
Yes, and I mean, firstly, it's great. It's a good opportunity for me to be back. I didn't expect that I would do that, and it's also a very promising market. I think with 260 million people, and it's a growing economy. So I think in some ways, I think it's helpful to have that background, so I can speak the language and I still have friends and family connections. So that in some ways helped me in understanding the cultural context. I do think though there's a lot of room for more Australian companies to be taking an interest in Indonesia and finding ways to build those bridges.
Elisabeth, thanks so much for your time today and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks very much for your time.